Julian Goldie in the house, and today we're going to be talking about the site reputation abuse update and what's going on so far, whether Parasite's still ranking, what's happened in terms of the updates, what Google has announced so far, and we'll also cover some of your FAQs. So feel free to ask any questions as we go along, and I'm going to pull up some useful notes that I think would be a great recap on what's happened so far because it's a pretty crazy time for parasites right now. So just going to share my screen. If you're enjoying this video, please smash a like on it and we shall get straight into it, my friends. And first thing, just to recap. Why am I muted? Unbelievable. All right, I think we're back in the game now. Akash says, hey, Julian. And Samir says, hey, Julian as well. Shout out to Akash and Samir, and we're going to get straight into it. So, this site reputation abuse update, if you're not aware already, basically Google said that they're going to target third party pages publishing with little or no first party oversight. Now, they've said to allow time for site owners to prepare for change, the new policy will take effect starting on May the 5th. Now, I assume that that means my goodness, StreamYard is StreamYard. We're going to get back into it. If it mutes again, I just don't know what to say here, people. StreamYard let me down right there. All right, so we're back in the game now. And what I can see so far from Google Search Liaison is that nothing has been announced officially, right? So I've not seen there's any announcement. Now, usually when an update comes along, Google Search Liaison will announce it officially on their website. And additionally, on top of that, if we go to the Google updates, let's try and find this right here, this one. Usually they list it inside their live update section. So if you go to list ranking updates right here, you can see that nothing has been announced for May the 5th, right? So we've got March the 5th, the core update, but there's no official announcement or live sort of situation with May the 5th. Now, I don't know why that is. There's not really been any situation, but yeah, so far, not that much is going on. Just checking. Can everyone hear me? Hopefully they can. All right. Matthew says, hey, shout out to Matthew. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, I'm going to have a look now and see what's happening in terms of, some of the most infamous updates so far. So if we check, for example, Outlook India and we look at their traffic, obviously they're well known for Parasite SEO. What you can see over time here is that since November, their traffic has taken a bit of a hit. So they weren't really hit by the helpful content update. You can see the traffic actually increased after that. But then back in November, they got a hit and their traffic is still dropping right now, but not as dramatically as some websites. So a lot of websites actually took a massive hit in terms of what's going on. I'm just going to double check everyone can hear me. And yeah, it's pretty crazy in terms of what's happened so far. So far, if we check, for example, some of the keywords that Outlook India was ranking for, say, last week versus this week, we'll just see what's going on so far. So let's check, for example, let's check a keyword like capitals versus royal challengers. So if we plug, Matthew says we can hear you. Okay, that's good to hear. Raksha says my 4-year-old site died after the update. We'll come on to that in a second. And Coding Shaksha says, as of now, Google has many active users and their net worth. I read in an article that they're rolling these updates out to increase advertising revenue, not focusing on the main search engine. Interesting take. I've heard a lot of viewpoints on that as well. So let's have a look and see if Outlook India is still ranking. Yeah. So if we plug this into Google, what we can see right here is that Outlook India is still ranking. Let's test in an incognito and we'll see what's going on, what's happened so far, etc. So plug that in. Change that to English. Have a look. So Outlook India are not on the first page for that keyword, which is quite interesting. But what you can see here, Hindustan Times is ranking multiple times right there. And if we keep scrolling down, Outlook India are not there at all, actually. That's quite interesting. So it looks like on paper, they're still ranking. Let's see if we can look at anything that's been updated recently. Let's remove this. Nothing updated as of yet. Let's check today. 1 minute ago. Yes, you can see a lot of their keywords are actually down. So 80, 87, 86, 56, 34, etc. Let's see if they're ranking for anything currently that has been updated today. Most of the positions I can see. Okay, let's check this one, right? So India versus Afghanistan live stream. We'll check this keyword directly on Google and see if Outlook India is still ranking for it. So they've slipped down to position number 3, but they are still ranking on the first page, which makes me think, has the Parasite SEO update rolled out just yet? It doesn't look like it so far. Now, let's come on to Raksha's comment, which is, my 4-year-old site died after the update. I'd be interested to see which website that is. If you want to post a URL, totally understand if you don't, but if you do want to publish it, then I will take a look and pull it up on the website. But what I would say is, like, if you got hit by, I'm going to pull this up on a whiteboard. If you got hit by, say, the HCU update back in 2023, last year, around August, what I've seen with a lot of websites who got hit, and they were on the target board from Google's update, is that the traffic just went down exponentially, right? And so when the core update came out in March 2024 over here, they were still in a negative ranking state, which meant they got hit even more. Now, there's not been a single recovery from the latest updates. There's not been one from core update, just got released like 2 months ago. And there's definitely not been one from the HCU update, which is pretty crazy right here. Recipes Ada says, my site not shown in search results, but when I search and check images, it will show fine. I've heard a few people say that actually their images are ranking fine, but their actual website pages are not ranking at all or not indexed, etc. I'm going to pull up some examples of, I think it's, where is it now? Housefresh.com, right? So housefresh.com, they got hit by some updates recently, and I'm going to try and pull up some of their content from, say, the last month or so. So we'll pull up this one, right? Now, if we go on to, let's change that to English. So what I've seen reports of actually for housefresh.com is that their actual content is not ranking it's ranking lower than actual parasites who repost their content with the source. That's pretty crazy to see as well. Something to bear in note there. Akram says, besides Outlook India, what other websites do you think will be impacted by this upcoming update? So I did a really in-depth video review on that the other day, but I'm going to skip straight to my predictions and what I can expect, right? So number one, I would say that the updates so far have been very vague, right? So if you look at the site reputation abuse update and you look at the spam policies, it's pretty vague right there. So this doesn't really give any sort of conclusive evidence. But what I will say is that in terms of the sites that are going to be updated here, there was a really good tweet by Malt. And Malt, I'm not going to try and pronounce his second name, especially on a live. But what you can see right here, if we zoom in, is that Washington Post, all these coupon websites, right? So independent.co.uk /voucher codes, Washington Post /coupons, etc. These sites, I can imagine, potentially could take a hit. So it's basically, if we list this out, it's like news publications targeting coupon codes. I think they'll take a big hit. Why? Because they're not ranking because like they're experts in washing machines and they're giving away washing machine coupon codes. They're just ranking for everything because they have such a high DR. It's the same, for example, with LinkedIn. Like if you look at LinkedIn Pulse is ranking still really well, still works really well. But why is that? I think it's because of their domain rating and how high their domain is. Coding Shaksha says, what about your website status, their website traffic is back or not? So like I have clarified this many times on my channel, but so far, obviously the sites that got manually collapsed, they're dead. Like they're not coming back. It's game over for those sites. I don't care either way. What I will say though is that my sites that I have in the background ranking better than ever. And after the last update, they're doing fine. In fact, most of them are getting more traffic than they were previous to the previous updates. So yeah, it's pretty crazy to see that. I mean, on Bing as well, if you look at the manually clapped websites and you look at their traffic over time, let's pull this up right here. We'll pull up Bing Webmaster Tools right here, and I'll show you an example for cheaperbirds.com. So you can see over time, the traffic for cheaperbirds.com has gone from like 60 or 70 clicks a day all the way up to a peak recently of 170 clicks a day, right? So it's almost tripled in traffic just on Bing directly. And so these sites are doing really well right now, and yeah, doing better than ever. I want to come back to those predictions right here. So news publications targeting coupon codes, I think they're going to get hit as well. The other one that I can imagine is going to get hit, for example, if you look at sites like, I think it's Declan Herald. Let me try and type it into Google. Yeah, so if we put in Declan Herald into Ahrefs right here, you can see that actually these are a well-known website for Parasite SEO, but you can see their traffic has actually increased. If we pull this up over the last month, we'll wait for that to load. You can see their traffic increased from an estimated 1.7 million a month all the way up to a peak of 2.246 million traffic, right? And they're absolutely killing it. Now, from what I know, I'm just going to pull up Parasite SEO right here. We'll plug that in. You can see that Deccan Herald, one of those sites where I think you can buy Parasite SEO pages. I'm not 100% sure on that. I want to clarify it right here. Yeah, so you can see Outlook India, Deccan Herald, two sites well known for Parasite SEO. And I can imagine sites like that potentially could get hit, but so far, so good for them. So good on them. And Coding Shack just says, what about your websites? All right, we've already covered that. Hey Spring Vibes says, hey Julian, I was wondering if you have any examples of what sites are the winners with the recent updates. Loads of D-indexes, D-ranks, but who is gaining the traffic? Great question. All right, let's pull some ones up. And I'm excited to show you this actually because it's pretty interesting to see what's happened so far. But we've actually just covered one winner without even planning to. So Deccan Herald, they're pumping up their traffic, right? Well-known Parasite SEO website. They're mentioned on Blackout World for selling Parasite SEO, and you can see they're pumping up the traffic right here. So they're doing better than ever. Quite interesting to see that. So let's now pull up an example, for example, like cakesbymk.com. And I want to show you this example because they're quite a low DR website, right? So they don't have a ton of authority. They're not abusing their authority to rank. But as you can see over time, just over the last 12 months, and this is good inspiration. Like I always like to see positivity in SEO. And you can see that their traffic has gone up from 3,000 traffic to an estimated 352,000 traffic, right? It's pretty much 100x in 12 months. Absolutely insane right there. And they're a recipes website, so they talk a lot about cakes. And if you actually look at the top authority, you'll see that they're pumping out loads of content around cake recipes. They're not just focused on recipes. They're not just focused on cakes. They're focused on cake recipes. And pretty much every single keyword that they're targeting here, bear in mind, some of them are like KD43, KD38. These are not like crazy easy keywords, but they're ranking first and second for loads of stuff and absolutely flying after the update. So I think that's good inspiration for anyone watching this. I know they have a massive YouTube channel, and I think they've got something like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, if not a million. And yeah, they're just popping off right there. So that's one example of the winners. Another example, let me pull this one up, is the famous Catster.com. Now, they've actually dropped off a little bit in traffic, but what you can see, let's say over the last month or so, if we pull this up, in fact, we'll go for the last 6 months. So pre-update, they were at about 330k traffic, and this is an e-commerce site in the cat's niche, obviously. Now they're at 1.2 million traffic. So the 4x after the March core update. Another one is Dogster.com. You can see I've done a lot of research on this because I can just reel them off on a live in like 2 minutes. But yeah, that's another good example of a winner. You can see they've popped off over the last 6 months. And again, e-commerce site run by vets and experts. Lots of EEAT on the site, lots of e-commerce content, and they're popping off right now. I can imagine their store is making absolutely loads since they've popped off on organic traffic. Who else has done really well? So I want to give you some more inspiration, actually, because I know a lot of you are just running your own independent sites, watching this channel. And so here's an inspiring example of a relatively new website that's popped off in terms of organic traffic. And this is a DR 1.1, right? So that shows you don't have to absolutely abuse backlinks if you're doing the right things. And I can imagine they're going to attract a lot of backlinks naturally because they're ranking for so much right now. But you can see over the last 6 months, DR 1.1 website has gone from like 3,200 traffic all the way up to 14,000 traffic right there. That's like almost a 5x increase, right? Done incredibly well right there. And I think that's good inspiration as well. So we've talked about catster.com, dogster.com, londontravelplanning.com, and cakesbymk.com. All big winners, all different types of sites, e-commerce, recipe sites, travel sites, etc. Heavens to Betsy, why do I keep getting muted here? All right. Sorry about this, guys. Thanks for your patience and still watching. So, our channel says, does this imply that micro niches will strive with the recent Google updates? So, I that's what I'm thinking as well, right? So, with the way that the SERPs are so volatile right now, it doesn't make sense to like just focus on one website because we've seen so many high quality sites created by experts, written by experts. People are actually buying the products and then reviewing them themselves, creating EAT, doing all the right things, and still getting smashed. Great example of that, housefresh.com. And you can see all the PR that they've got from them, recently on Twitter because they're doing all the right things and still getting hit. They're not spamming SEO, they're not creating bad content, etc. But they've been hit as collateral damage during the update. And this is the same with the Google publisher case studies as well. So, for example, a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed Michael Denich from Wealth of Geeks. He was an actual case study on Google's publisher case studies website. So he was doing all the right things, had photographers down at the office taking pictures of him last year, etc. And basically a great example of how to create great content. And he still got hit as well. I think it's de-indexed completely from Google right now. And so I think that there might be a time coming where microsites are back in. Now, I know 10, 15 years ago, for example, you would create a microsite, it would have like 5 pages, and you would just get it ranking. I don't think that's the right way to do it, but I think like you create a website, you publish like 50 pages, targeting low competition keywords, building about 3 to 5 backlinks per week, and then you start ranking those. And from what I've seen in my own portfolio, that's the least risky, best way to rank content, create new websites at scale, rank for multiple keywords, create money making websites, but at the same time, reduce the risk. Because if one of those sites gets hit, it's all right. You got a bunch of other ones working really well right there. This is something that I've spoken briefly about in the SEO boardroom. If you want to check that out, links in the comments and description. But essentially, creating microsites or having multiple sites is really the name of the game, I think, now. Because if you look at the volatility of SEO right now, if you look at the actual sites that produces super high quality content and still getting punished for it, it's just a brutal game. So I think microsites, Parasite SEO is still working as we've talked about today. And I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying this is what's working right here. Yes, it's interesting to see this. YouTube SEO as well. Every time there's a new update, if you look at the core update, if you look at the helpful content update, if you look at search generative experience, YouTube SEO just grows and grows and grows. That's how we've hit 100K subscribers, is because by creating content that people are interested in, by building a community, by focusing on personal branding and creating content that's actually interesting and entertaining, we can grow update after update, and it's not as volatile as normal SEO. So yeah, hope that helps. And Spring Vibe says, great examples, micro niche is the way forward as it appears at the moment. Then yeah, I think that's a really good way of looking at it. And I think, we're in one of these stages right now where we have to adapt as SEOs, because the way people should do SEO and what's working, etc., it's totally changed just in the last 12 months. Gold Retirement Solution says YouTube is the way to go. Also, do you ever sleep, Julian? So, I mean, I have a big team of people. I have a team of 50 people at my agency and a really good set of systems, SOPs, processes, and that just helps me create content at scale. That's how I can have the SEO boardroom, the SEO elite circle. That's how I can have a YouTube channel, a Twitter account, LinkedIn, etc., Facebook groups, and still not feel tired or burned out at all because I have the right systems in place. So that helps. Last night, for example, I slept 12 hours and I feel amazing today. So the next thing that I want to show right now, and this is really interesting, is an example of how to look at SEO. I think this is one of the best mindset hacks that I've seen over the last sort of probably the last 12 months, one of the best tweets that I've seen, right? And I want to pull this up because a lot of people on Twitter right now and across pretty much every single channel are quite negative, and rightly so, because a lot of people have been hit for collateral damage, people have been hit for doing all the right things. People are really worried about how volatile SEO is right now. There's a lot of updates coming out, the search generative experience and the volatility and risk of AI as well. And so I want to share this tweet with you that Corey Tugberg posted that I think is absolutely amazing in terms of the way that you should look at SEO and how to survive during these updates, right? Basically, if you haven't seen it already, he basically said at least 40% of people in SEO today won't be in the industry after early 2026. And like we were talking about how you need to adapt and change the way that you look at SEO right now, I think this is spot on, right? So 2023 to 2025 are the transition years. Complaining about Google results or blaming Google for monopoly won't stop this process. And this is one of the things you probably notice when I'm creating videos on my YouTube channel. Like, I'll analyze the updates, I'll look at what's going on, but I'm not going to have that victim mentality where I blame Google or anything like that. For me, even when my sites got manually clapped, I don't point the finger at Google. I point the finger at myself for just showing crazy stuff and experimenting and being a bit too public about it. And that's my own fault. It's not Google. I don't have any resentment towards them. And so I think what you'll see on Twitter right now is a lot of people not really giving that much value, and they're just complaining about, getting. I don't think that's the right way to look at it. I think you got to look at it like, right, this is a time of adaptation. Let me switch my mindset. Let me change the strategies. Let me keep learning. Let me keep testing stuff, and let me focus on the controllables, right? And staying in communities, for example, like people publishing SEO, people publishing case studies, showing what's working right now, I think is the best way to do it. For example, today we looked at 4 different websites that are popping off since the core update. Some of them low DR, some of them high DR, but you get a feel for, okay, SEO is still working. It's actually still working better than ever if you have the right strategies and tactics in place. And finally, this is a very interesting line, right? So Corey says, new engineer-minded SEOs will keep coming to the field more and more every year. And right now, it's kind of like engineer versus engineer, right? Google engineers versus SEO engineers, almost in a way, and trying to crack the algorithm that way. I think just a great example of how to look at SEO, how to analyze it, and how to approach it. YFBGS says truth. Going against Google and search engine, saying how bad they are will always equal a flip of the switch. However, educating and training on changes they're making, but not bashing, makes it W. Yeah, that's it. For me, like with YouTube and the community here, I'm trying to build a tribe of winners, right? And I look at the people who comment, who ask questions, who are always trying to learn, etc. This is the best way to build a community and to help each other raise up, right? Like a rising tide lifts all boats. And for me, it doesn't matter how much time I spend in SEO, doesn't matter what I do and what experiments I run. I'm always going to be trying to learn, adapt, and just focus on what I can control and not point the finger at anyone else. Now, let's go on to one of the other comments from Gold Retirement Solutions. He says, okay, I have a real question. Google seems to be favoring e-commerce sites. Any tips on how to make an affiliate site look like an e-commerce site? I think if you're trying to focus on like fake signals, this is not the right way to approach it, right? So I would look at, okay, how can I just keep all the traffic with something real on my website, right? So for example, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a physical product. So I'll give you an example of this. If you look at a lot of sites performing really well right now, who are keeping the traffic within the website, so not sending out to affiliate links, the way that they're doing that is through info products, coaching programs, and communities. And I think this is something that's not really talked about, but monetizing your content with communities, one of the best things you can do, because that creates a very sticky product that also creates a lot of value as well, because you can help each person individually, but at the same time it differentiates you from everyone else. Only one of you can sell a community, not whereas anyone can create a course tomorrow. And so I think, like, instead of trying to create false signals, look at different ways that you can actually sell something on your website that you own and you build, and that creates a bigger moat that most people can't replicate. Archana says, what's your view about Google coming up with SG? What does Google from the websites if it is pulling that data and showing it as snippets. So I've got a really good video on YouTube. I'm going to pull this up right now and show you an example that talks about SG, Search Generative Experience, and how I expect things to change. Let me show this right here. Let me share my entire screen. Let me pull this up. Here we go. So you can see, where is it now? There we go. This video right here, how to rank number 1 in Google Search Generative Experience. This is one of the best videos you can watch if you want to learn more about how to rank inside Google Search Generative Experience, because it will basically show you exactly what's working, what's not. And now I think this comes down to 3 things. Number 1, backlinks. So if you look at the highest ranking pages within Search Generative Experience, I'll pull up an example right here, like what is SEO, and we'll wait for Search Generative Experience to show up. So you can see the 2 massive DR websites are ranking number 1, right? So if you want to rank number 1 on Google in Search Generative Experience, I think it comes down to the DR of your website. As an example of that, if we pull up semrush.com, you can see that SEMrush is a DR91 website, right? You're not going to find like a DR1 ranking 90% of the time. Let's pull up Digital Marketing Institute as well, and we'll show them as an example. So Digital Marketing Institute, again, DR84 website popping off right there. So I think having a lot of backlinks to your website helps a lot. And if you want to learn more about that, feel free to book in a free SEO strategy session. Links inside the comments description. We'll give you a custom tailored link building plan directly on the call. The other thing that you can do is focus on YouTube SEO, right? So for example, if you look at sort of any SEO related how-to keyword, like how to build backlinks, maybe how to build backlinks for free. Let's pull that up right here, right? What I've seen a lot of, I'm going to try and maybe we'll focus on how to create topical maps. That might be a good example. So what I've seen Search Generative Experience push a lot more is YouTube inside the results of Search Generative Experience. And I think that's because YouTube obviously is linking to a video, which is going to create more engagement, right? And I think the Search Generative Experience, it might be focused more on engagement metrics and anything else, and also the data that's trained on. So yeah, the other thing I would say, right, is like if you look at what's ranking inside Google, it's quite different to what's ranking directly inside Search Generative Experience, right? So for example, if you look at how to create topical maps, you can see that the top 2 pages ranking here are not the top 2 pages ranking on Google. So for example, IMG, that's ranking number 1 on organic, but inside Search Generative Experience, it's only ranking number 3, and you can't even click on it. You can barely see it. And so I think that's an interesting thing to bear in mind. It's like the algorithm inside Search Generative Experience for ranking content is not the same as the algorithm for ranking on organic. 2 totally different algorithms. All right, let's keep going. I've got to go to the gym in a sec, but I'll answer a few more questions. So New King says, what is your view about Google Update, Hit Rank and Rent, or local SEO websites or not? Yeah, local SEO working better than ever. Check out my tutorial on YouTube. You'll see it. And yeah, from what I've seen so far, it's not hitting those at all. Hippironic, shout out to Hippironic. Good to see you back here. Says, one of my blog posts absolutely gone from Google SERPs, but still rank on Bing and DuckDuckGo. I don't mind to expose a post as an example that we shouldn't really just rely on Google. I think traffic diversification for sure is the name of the game, right? So if you look at my free SEO course, links inside the comments, comes with, I think, about 10 different ways to rank and get traffic without Google, right? So if you want to learn how to get more traffic, diversify, and still make money with your website without relying on Google and the volatility of it, feel free to check that out. But yeah, diversification is the name of the game. That's why I don't just focus on SEO. I do have a lot of SEO websites that I've shared tons of times on YouTube, but at the same time, if you really want to reduce the risk of SEO, then you got to diversify. How do you do that? You just get traffic from multiple channels. And that's why I have a Twitter, LinkedIn, 2 Facebook groups, a school community, Discord community, email list, Facebook ads, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and everything else, right? That's what the game is all about. Blackstar Kennel says, Julian, you're great. Following you on Twitter from India. Shout out to Blackstar. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you. And Akram says, regardless of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt caused by the recent updates, what SEO strategies do you think will continue to work? So I post daily case studies. So I'm going to show you an example of one that I posted recently inside my SEO boardroom community. The only reason that I share them in there instead of YouTube is because I can't, it's not really safe to share them publicly anymore, right? So I just don't share these strategies anywhere else apart from directly inside my SEO boardroom community. So for example, you can see right here, I show how I ranked number one in 24 hours, the process, why I did it, how I did it, etc. And I post one of those pretty much every, and I post every single day pretty much inside the community. So if you want to learn more about what's working right now today, then feel free to check that out. Otherwise, check out the oh, it's me maniac. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm gonna go. Mike keeps muting for some reason. Okay, we've got some keywords there. Web Ninja says, are e-commerce websites affected by core updates? So far, from what I've seen, they're actually popping off and doing better than ever after the core updates. And YFBGS says, how do you go about scanning to see if a member that wants to join is not directly an employee of Google that is using the petition business to get in? Honestly, like, I mean, and I haven't really worried about that so far. Like, I guess I could put something in there, but it's just not top of my list. I don't think that, I mean, if Google wanted to find out, they absolutely could. And I also think as well, like, for me, if they went to that extent just to shut it down, then it's one of those, like, I can't avoid it, but I can reduce and mitigate the risk just by sharing stuff directly inside my community, and then building up a bigger moat, a bigger wall that people have to jump over, or at least get them subscribing. So thanks so much for watching. I'm going to go and head off to the gym. Appreciate everyone who's watching. If you want to sign up to the community, it's at seoboardroom.com. If you want to get a free course with literally dozens of tutorials on how to do SEO, feel free to check that out. Links inside the comments description. And if you want to book in a free SEO strategy session about how to get more leads, traffic, and sales, where we'll answer your questions directly on the call and give you a custom tailored link building plan, feel free to book that in. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it as always. Bye-bye.